I really like sleep paralysis. Just trying to do some research and look around with in terms of sleep paralysis and inducing sleep paralysis and so on. I think of some ways to get into sleep paralysis, and it's some of the things I've been talking about in previous videos, previous astral projection videos. For me, I've had sleep paralysis at different times in my life, and just it's fine. I've been fine with it. Usually I just go further into sleep and then that's it. Now that I realize that it's a tool, an astral projection and lucid dreaming tool, it has become one of my favorite states of being. So one of my favorite states of consciousness. It'd be great. I would like to have sleep paralysis as much as possible. And it's specifically because of it being that state where the body is totally paralyzed. And so I'm able to experience my astral body before a full separation. And that's what I believe will probably be either from a sleep paralysis state or something similar, where I will experience a full astral projection where my torso is released and where I experience the separation of my torso from my body that's in my bed. So I've been able to have my head, arms, and legs separate. My torso, I still haven't been able to experience when my torso separates. A bit like I've experienced like shifting in the bed where I'm actually in a different place in bed, but I don't have full, and so my torso would have had to have moved, my astral projection, body, torso moved. But I think that I still have not gained full movement. I've gained quite a bit of movement and strength in my arms and legs. I've been able to move my head in different directions. I've been able to see in that state. But my torso is what I still need to work on. And I don't know if I need to do anything. Maybe I don't need to do anything. Maybe I don't need to try. I mean, my torso separates all the time. Every night it separates, and it's just a matter of being aware of when that happens. You know, it already knows, my astral body already knows how to separate. It's just a matter of being aware of when it happens and just having that experience. It's just more experience and more of an understanding of the process of what it is and how it works. I'm looking around I actually tried to look through videos, and I really couldn't look through much because the stuff that's out there is just people that, you know, making videos that are afraid of sleep paralysis, and they have really bad feelings. They get really scared, and they have nightmares or like negative, you know, they sense negative things when they are in sleep paralysis. So I know for a lot of people, you know, astral projection, sleep paralysis, all that kind of stuff is scary. And it's scary. There are a number of reasons. Some people are taught that those things are scary and bad, and they believe that. And so that's the programming that they have in their mind. And that's really what is guiding them, and how they react to those experiences and is based on the programming that they have accepted, which is that it's evil, it's wrong, it's not supposed to happen, or whatever. And people become really, they actually will start having sleep disturbance because they have emotional issues with not wanting to experience sleep paralysis, and it just becomes this whole thing. And so I wasn't really able to look through much because I'm not interested in that. I like sleep paralysis. It's a tool. It's a place that I want to go to and experience as much as possible because I see that it is a tool. And I'm coming from a different place. And it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of the type of spirituality a person has, what a person, experiences and so on. And so I'm not able to really find too much. I find that if I specifically look into sleep paralysis as it specifically pertains to astral projection, then I'm able to find some just, even like neutral and actually helpful information where people actually are happy to find themselves in sleep paralysis because, again, they're using it as a tool. They understand how it connects to astral planes, dimensions, and so on. I understand, again, that there are many different things that people are afraid of, and people tend to be really afraid of things that they either don't understand, they're taught that it's scary, they have a paradigm and an idea of what reality is, and anything outside of that can cause them to experience distress and confusion and fear and all these other things. So I understand that the kind of stuff that I talk about may possibly sound pretty scary to some people. That, and I think a person to, if someone is scared, if you're scared of astral projection, if there's fear there, then my suggestion, because I can't tell anybody what to do, but if someone was talking to me and they said that, they're scared of astral projection, my reply would be, well, then don't do it. Don't, don't turn your attention to those things if they scare you. If you think you're going to experience psychological harm, emotional harm, if you feel that you're not in a place to experience that, or you simply believe that there's something wrong with it, then stay away from it. It's really simple. So I know that with sleep paralysis, not everyone can avoid it. And there are people that don't like sleep paralysis and they find themselves in sleep paralysis and it causes them a lot of distress and they, have all sorts of issues. And again, it's a matter of perspective and, what a person experiences. I think fear is generally not a good emotion. It usually doesn't bring about very good things, especially when you're not actually being threatened. If your life, your well-being is not actually being threatened and you're afraid, then that's something to think about, and if someone's curious about astral projection and they're saying they're not really sure, they're just kind of thinking about it, I would just say to that person, if that person is telling me that, I would say, consider what would, be the worst case scenario for you. Say you are lucid or fully astral, fully aware that you're astral projecting, and just imagine the worst case encounter. Like say you encounter a really scary being and how would you react to that? How do you feel about possibly encountering something that is pleasant? And if it's not something that you can handle and that you're okay with, if it's going to cause you distress, if it's going to cause you psychological pain, emotional issues, sleep disturbances, and all this kind of stuff, then don't go there. It's really just don't get into stuff that you cannot handle, and I understand that not everybody can control whether or not they're in sleep paralysis. And sometimes people happen to find themselves, lucid dreaming or, out of body and it scares them, whatever. But like, I'm talking about in terms of making it happen, if you're out there and you're thinking about trying it, it's like, you have to consider all the possible things that can happen. And if you're okay, if you can manage, okay, where you're at, how you feel. Concerns, and just over time, you sort of process and think about it and you overcome some concerns and, some intense things that you experience attempting astral projection, but it's, the goal or whatever, like there's something driving you beyond those concerns. So that's just something I wanted to mention because there's a lot of like scary posts about sleep paralysis. And I believe that those people are truly afraid of sleep paralysis and that it's not a pleasant thing for them and they don't like it. And then I hope they don't experience it. I hope they don't experience things that they don't like. I hope they figure out a way to minimize or stop their experience of sleep paralysis altogether if it's causing, that kind of distress. I am trying to find ways to experience it as much as possible. So the more I experience it, the better, and it just feels like your body is paralyzed and you try to move your body and it feels like it's in a vat of molasses or like a vat of honey. And maybe you're moving it, but you're not. And you're just there and you're aware and you can't move. And so for me, I've been able to experience my astral body that is not physical, detach from my physical body, and I'm able to experience my body that's in the bed, paralyzed, and my body that is able to move at the same time. And that's a fascinating experience. I've also gone into lucid dreams and other spiritual experiences and journeys from a place of sleep paralysis, or even things that are similar to sleep paralysis. I also mimic sleep paralysis. So I do things that are similar to sleep paralysis that is like mimicking sleep paralysis, which is meditation, where I am still and as if I was paralyzed and I'm aware. And I do this because of the connection that it has to lucid dreaming and astral projection and other spiritual experiences. So actual sleep paralysis, vibrational state, different states of astral projection attempts and meditation and so on are super pleasant and super good for me. And it's like where I'm trying to find myself. So, I have a differing view and differing experience on that. I know different people have different opinions on it. Things like sleep paralysis, meditation, and so on have contributed to some of the most phenomenal experiences, spiritual experiences that I have ever experienced. And it is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, what comes out of experiencing those states, and how those states are a stage, a step in the process of bigger things. It's a place that expands and turns into other things. It's like a stage or a step in a process to something bigger. So, but I understand not everyone's spirituality is the same. Not everyone is out. Everyone has a different life purpose, and everyone's life, they're here to do different things, and people choose different forms of spirituality, and there are things that people are comfortable with and things that they're not, and there are things that they've been taught to be afraid of, and they accept that. I mean, everyone's different, and there's a balance in the world with all those differences and all these different spaces and energies that people hold. So perfectly fine. It's just that I'm of the type that seeks it, and so I just decided to make a video on it in case there's anyone else out there like me that is looking to be in sleep paralysis and is actually seeking sleep paralysis because they are seeking things that sleep paralysis is involved with. And I say meditation helps connect, because meditation is artificially sort of mimicking sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, and it's also connected to astral projection, I believe, and I believe it causes those things. I don't know if it causes sleep paralysis. I don't think my frequency of experiencing sleep paralysis has increased because of meditation, but my frequency of lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences have, and like precognition and stuff like that. What else? Another thing is a kind of buzzing experience, and I have another video where I talk about 5 different sort of electrical states that I experience at different times, surrounding sleep, meditation, astral projection attempts. And there's this one buzzing one, and electrical and buzzing, those states I find are connected to sleep paralysis. And I'm starting to think like maybe if I continue to pursue those feelings, those energies, those vibrational states, that I will be able to increase my experience of sleep paralysis. I'm thinking, because I'm like, well, the last several times I've had sleep paralysis, they've been directly tied to it. So that's interesting. So there are different things that are tied in. I'm still learning and trying to figure that out. So I'd say meditation, and then once I experience a buzzing feeling, like say I woke up slightly out of sleep, or I'm about to go to sleep, or I just woke up, and I feel one of those vibrational states, even if it's really a really calm one, I feel it, and then I go into a meditative state. And that's where meditating comes into play, and knowing how to meditate and developing that feeling meditative state of being. And so I just stop moving, and I if I'm going to move, I just stay still, and I go into meditation as I feel that feeling, and I find that it's led into lucid dreaming. In fact, it did so last night, where I was very lucid. I found myself in a common location. I call it a common location because it's one of the many locations I've identified that I find myself with frequency in the dream world. And from those places, I've been able to become lucid. Certain activities in certain places. And I actually looked in the mirror this was last night. And I saw myself, and I looked just like how I look, and I look in the mirror. And I actually really stared in the mirror. I was like, well, is there anyone like coming through? Does anything need to be shown to me in this mirror, or am I just kind of looking at myself? And I really looked in the mirror, and I was ready to pretty much see whatever was going to be shown, but it was just me. And so I'm like, okay. And I sort of started really looking at myself, because I felt very is so lucid. I'm like, I'm here, and again, I'm in a different city. This is actually at my childhood home is where I found myself, and in my room and stuff, and this antique mirror, this antique dresser and antique mirror that I had growing up. And so I was looking in that mirror, and then I started looking at my body, like just to really see, like, wow, is this like how much of me, like I was really examining myself in the mirror, and I was like removing my clothes and just kind of really looking at myself, looking at my reflection to see like, wow, okay, and just really looking around. I looked outside the window, and I was looking at the homes that were outside. I ended up walking down the sidewalk and going into a store. I did have someone that was with me. Once I went outside, there was someone with me, and the person, it was like a friend, and we were communicating, but I don't remember seeing the person, and I don't remember what their voice sounds like. So I've had this several times. I don't know if this is my guide, because I do feel the experience was lucid, dreaming, some dimensional, possibly another dimension, possibly an OBE. I was definitely lucid. And there was a person there that was accompanying me. So when I was in my room and I was looking in the mirror, it was me. And then when I went outside, I was with a friend, and it was a male friend. It's almost like kind of a blur. The person was sort of a blur. I didn't make an effort, although I made an effort to look at myself. I didn't make an effort too much to look at the person for some reason. We were communicating, and we went over to the store, and everything was really detailed. And I was looking at the homes, I was looking at the sidewalk, and I was pointing out differences from the last time I was in the area, last time I was in that city and there, and went into the store. Yeah, that was a really interesting one. So I don't know if that's my guide. I do find myself with a friend, a male friend, that accompanies me at different times when I'm asleep. So it's possible that that's how my guide appears to me. I don't know. But I haven't been able to see, like, look at someone directly and have a really like clear view of them and say like, okay, this person, this is my guide, and be able to really directly look at them. I haven't had that yet, so I don't know. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. It's just funny. I know there's one time I actually asked to see a guide and no one showed up. So I just started walking on my own, and I encountered some cats, and maybe next time I find myself, I can maybe think to myself. And that's another thing too. It's kind of like step by step, like I experience something and I think about it as I'm awake, and then I think, next time I find myself in that situation, maybe I should try this. Or next time I find myself in this situation, maybe I should try that. And that's, I'm starting to think about this friend that I can't totally see, that's kind of a blur, but familiar, friendly person. Definitely feels like a friendship. And maybe I will make a bit of an effort to try to see the person. Maybe I can try to do and see. Or maybe I can just ask the person if I can see them. I don't know. I'll have to see. But that was my last lucid dream. That was last night. And then it actually started because I sort of woke up and I felt the buzzing feeling. It's this buzzing feeling that I'll feel sometimes when I'm going to lay down to go, when I'm getting ready to go to sleep and I'm about to fall asleep. And I sort of woke up out of sleep, and then I felt the buzzing, and then I decided to go into meditative state, and then I ended up in that lucid dream. So there are definitely ways to induce lucid dreaming. And that was a very lucid one, and I was able to get a really clear look at my body and my face, and look really closely in the mirror in the dream, and even walk around and look in a lot of detail. Looked out the window, and I walked around outside on the sidewalk and looked at homes, and went inside and into a store, looked around. So there were like 2 common locations that were connected. It was like a whole thing, or 3 actually, but it's like it was one big dream. So yeah. Yeah, so more sleep paralysis for me, and if you're into sleep paralysis and you know where that's going to take you, like, I wish a lot of sleep paralysis for you. And if you're afraid of sleep paralysis and you're afraid of this stuff, then I hope that you don't experience them, so that you're not afraid and you're not distressed, and that there's another way for you to, practice spirituality and feel peaceful and, well,